Today's notes will cover solving a system of 3 equations. I have my Cornell notes set up right here, and you can print these from the link in the Schoology assignment. If you don't want to print them, go ahead and set up your notebook paper for Cornell notes. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So our topic or objective for today is solving a system of 3 equations. All right, what is a system of 3 equations? It's a system that has 3 equations and 3 variables. Now right here, we have what the solution will look like. So a solution to a system of equations will look like an ordered pair, except it also has a variable z. So this is called an ordered triple. Okay, just like an ordered pair, but you have 3 variables, x, y, and z. Now down here I have some steps to solve a system of 3 equations. And I encourage you to pause the video and write those steps down if you did not print out the notes. Solving a system of 3 equations can be a long process, and it's easy to get lost in that process. So you want to make sure that you follow the steps until you know how to solve them. So step 1 says for us to number our equations. So let's go down here to our example. And I'm going to number our equations 1, 2, and 3. Okay? All right, so now we're going to move on to step 2. Step 2 says to pick 2 equations and eliminate a variable. And we're going to call this new equation, equation A. So I'm going to start by picking 2 equations. And the 2 equations that I'm going to pick, if you look at your system right here, if you notice there's a positive x in equation 1 and a negative x in equation 3. So I'm going to start with equation 1 and 3. Equation 1 is x minus 6y plus 2z is equal to negative 18. And equation 3 is negative x minus 6y plus 4z is equal to negative 12. Okay, so now pick 2 equations. I did that. I'm going to move this down. And we're going to solve or eliminate one of the variables. So I'm going to eliminate x's. If I add these 2 equations together, the x is eliminated. And we will end up with a negative 12y plus 6z is equal to negative 30. And we're going to call this equation A. Okay? All right. Next step, which is our step 3. And step 3 says to pick 2 different equations. One will come from one that we used in step 1 and eliminate the same variable. Since I eliminated the x's in step 2, I still need to eliminate my x's in step 3. Now, we used equation 1 and 3. This time I have to use equation 2 plus another one. So I'm going to write equation 2, which is 3x minus y plus 3z is equal to 5. And I have to use either equations 1 and 3. So I chose number 3. So equation 3 is negative x minus 6y plus 4z is equal to negative 12. And I still have to eliminate x, same variable as step 2. So in order to eliminate x, I'll take that line away because I cannot add them together to eliminate a variable. But if you notice, equation 2 has a 3x and equation 3 has a negative x. If I were to multiply equation 3 by a 3, then I'll have a negative 3x. It will cancel with the positive 3x in equation 2. So let's do that. So I'll rewrite equation 2 here, which is 3x minus y plus 3z is equal to 5. And I'll write my new equation 3 after I distribute a 3 to every term in this equation. And don't forget that you have to multiply it by everything you have. So that will be a negative 3x. 3 times negative 6 is a negative 18y. 3 times 4 is a positive 12z equals 3 times 12 is 36. That'll be a negative 36. Now I can add these two equations together and eliminate my x's. And when I do that, I get a negative 19y plus 3 plus 12 is a 15z is equal to a negative 31. And we will call this equation B. Okay, so now I have two new equations, equation A and equation B, that will take us down to, let me separate my work here. That's going to take us down to our step 4. And if you read the steps up top, step 4 says solve the new system using equations A and B. So equation A, I'll rewrite it down here, is a negative 12y plus 6z is equal to negative 30. And my equation B is a negative 19y plus 15z is equal to a negative 31. Okay, so now, let me move it up. Now I have these two new equations that I need to solve. And you can use substitution or elimination. That's what we've been practicing. And elimination seems to be the best one for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate my z's. I have a 6 and a 15. So I know that 15 times 2 is 30. I can easily turn 6 into a 30 by multiplying it by a 5. One of these also need to be a negative because I have two positive signs. So here's my strategy. I'm going to multiply the first equation by a negative 5. And I'm going to multiply my second equation by a positive 2. Let's do that and see what we get. So equation A, my new equation A, negative 5 times negative 12 is a 60y minus 30z is equal to a positive 150. And my new equation B, when I multiply everything by 2, will be a negative 38y plus 30z is equal to a negative 62. Now I can easily eliminate my z's, so I will add these two together. 60 minus 38 is 22y. My z's cancel out, and that equals 150 minus 62 is 88. And then if I divide them both by 22 and divide that by 22, I get y is equal to 4. Okay, there's one variable. So remember, we need our x, our y, and our z. We just found our y. Let's go ahead. I'm going to separate my work. And we'll move on to our next step, step 5. So step 5 tells us to substitute the solution back into equation A or B and solve. So I'm going to, y is 4. I'm going to substitute that and I'll choose equation A. So I'll use equation A here. And equation A is a negative 12y plus 6z equals negative 30. So I'll take that y is 4, and this is going to go in equation A in place of the y. So that will give me a negative 12 times my 4 plus 6z equals negative 30. And I'll substitute in my 4. And then I'll go ahead and simplify this. Negative 12 times 4 is this is a negative 48 plus 6z equals negative 30. Add 48 to the other side. I'll get 6z is equal to 18. And divide by 6, I will get z is equal to 3. Trying to do math in my head. Okay, so now we have our y and our z. The last thing we need to do is find our x. So separate my work right here, and we'll go to our last step, which is step 6. And step 6 tells us to substitute both new solutions into one of the original equations and solve for the missing variable. So I'm going to go up and look at equation 1. I'll use equation 1, which is x minus 6y plus 2z is equal to negative 18. And now I'm going to substitute my y value and my z value into this equation, and I will end up solving for x. So x minus 6 parentheses plus 2 equals negative 18, and I'm going to input y is 4 and my z is 3. And I'll just simplify these. So let's see. X minus 6, so this will give me x minus 24 plus 6 is negative 18, and that will be x, a negative 24 plus 6 is a negative 18, so x minus 18 equals a negative 18. If I add 18 to both sides, you notice that these cancel and these cancel. They both make a 0. Instead of saying cancel, I'm going to say it's a 0. So we end up with x is equal to 0. And so now I have found my 3 solutions, my x, my y, and my z. So the way that we write our order triple is in parentheses as x, then y, then z. And they have to be in that order. X, y, and z. There's our solution, okay? So again, follow the steps that you were given. They are long, so make sure that you label and separate your work. If you ask the teacher for help and we come over, it's hard to see where the process is and where the mistake happens. And then if you need an additional example or some help, look at the Khan Academy link that's included in the Schoology video. Okay, see you in class.